Compel your audience back better than ever, I would say, on a snowy, wintry mixed day here in Dallas, Texas. I know you probably got 70 degrees out in California. Congratulations. My kid doesn't get to see snow very much, so it's really nice for him because we are creating some cool memories. It's breaking the script. I'm excited today on Tell Me a Story to bring Jeff Underwood, honestly, which is a very good friend of mine. So he's doing me a great favor by coming on today. But I think Jeff being the AVP of business development and sales at EPSG in the fintech space is very important for you all to understand that because that industry is so highly competitive. He's today going to tell us a story of how do you engage your internal people? How do you keep them on board? How do you make sure they're on the right bus? He's also, which I have been on, the host of Engagement Matters, Bridging the Leadership Gap with Cord Stockwell. Did I get it all right?
You got it. Perfect.
Cool. So without further ado, I will let you kick it off. Give us some context about what's going on in your guys' organization, about the structure of your people working for you, and then mainly the audience of the story you're going to tell us today.
Awesome. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me, brother. This is awesome. I am super excited to be here. My first LinkedIn Live, venture, so to speak. So hopefully I don't screw this thing up. But regardless, we're going to have a good time. We'll have a story to tell afterwards. So
it's live TV. If you mess up, it's okay.
Right?
We'll bleep it out.
Right on. Absolutely. So thank you for the introduction. Yeah. So EPSG, it's interesting, right? I could go on a whole story of how it came to be and the relationship became, but I won't go through all those details today. But essentially what I do is I run kind of the Western United States for our sales team, right? Everyone in the fintech space, specifically in the credit card processing space, right? You can be an employee or you can be a partner agent, which, 1099, you're running your own business. And that's kind of what we are, right? Our folks aren't employees. So how do you lead people that say are a volunteer army? Which is challenging, and it's a little bit different than what I was used to in the past. But I think the biggest part for me, Chris, is, we talk about engagement, right? Finding out what people want, what do they want to accomplish, and let's go accomplish that goal together. I may just be a small fraction in the background, help them push something through, but I also believe it's so vital and important with the relationships and connections we have of understanding why I'm doing this and why they are here. And man, it's 2022. I came to this role at the end of last year, learned a lot in January, really got connected with some folks and starting to see the explosion take off. So
yeah, so I think for you that are tuning in, I want you to think about the audience that Jeff has internally with his people that in many cases, most people have actual employees. I mean, they're tied, to work hours. They're tied to a contract. They're tied to a number. They're tied to, certain specific KPIs. Where in Jeff's world, he, like he said, is trying to keep a volunteer army engaged, and also probably held accountable. And in turn, I think lingers a lot of things that, what I like to say is, if we're not telling them the best story, the most memorable story, the most engaging story, then my guess is there's a competitor out there that might tell them a better story, one that might resonate with them. And in some cases, maybe we're okay with that. But I think in most cases, we don't want to be okay with that. We want the people that sign on to be part of the volunteer army to be a part of it. I almost think of it's like volunteer firemen. We want them to care as much as a regular fireman. We want them to go through the safety protocol. We want them to want to save people's lives. We want them to be able to, be heroes and risk their. But I'm guessing there's some volunteer firemen that are only doing it for the resume builder, and they don't really show up that much, right? They don't really do what they need to do. So let's do this. Let's act as if. Let's paint a picture for everyone.
Okay.
Let's act as if I am. I just signed on to be part of the volunteer army.
Sure.
At EPSG, and tell me, let's walk through kind of what that initial onboarding or a couple onboarding conversations would look like. And let's build some parameters so people can hear, hey, these are the kind of stories that I'm sharing with my people. And let's see if we can build on them, enhance them, and teach some people and help them out.
Sure. Great starting point. I think the most of it is just getting to know the person, right? What motivates them? What is your goal? Why did you come here? Right? There's a litany of choices of places that you can go to. And I say, hang your banner on the front door or the wall. In our industry, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of places where you can go do that. So one, get to know the person. What makes them tick? Why are they here? What do they want to accomplish? Right. And, so one of the exercises that I'll do, and, everyone hears the term, hey, let's do some goal setting. Right. So Chris, let's do a little something right now with you.
Let's
right.
do it.
So, you and I, you're coming on board, and I'm like, Chris, let's talk about 2022 goals. Right. What is it that you want to accomplish? And smart terms. And so why don't you go ahead and tell me, what do you want to accomplish?
Yeah, I think I obviously, like you, there's a lot of options for me. I chose EPSG because I saw you guys just launched the brand new mobile app. So I think like you guys are maybe a step ahead of some of the competitors. Quite frankly, I want to make a lot more money than what I made last year. I'd like to 2x the amount of money that I'm making, and I see this as a perfect tool. I understand the fintech space. I've worked at a couple payment companies before. And so I'm trying to like lean in on that to be my own boss and, man, just make a lot of money.
Okay, awesome. And so obviously being in the space, the activity of what it takes to have success, right? I'm going to give you a vehicle and the keys to the car to drive it where you want to go to. So, I love the fact, you want to double your income, and, that is a big driving force, right? But also having some of those technology advancements at your fingertips in a mobile app, which is insane. But here's what I want you to do, Chris. I want you to put those goals. I want to put them in your desk, or turn them over, and I don't want you to look at them again.
Okay. So you want me to write down these goals, smart goals, and then you want me to, after I write them all down, where normally I'd post them on my wall with my vision board and like every day make sure I'm, being smart and I'm going after, you want me to put them in my top drawer?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. So here's what I'm a big believer in: control the controllables, right? So you've got this down, right? You've already kind of manifested it to the universe. You've written it down. You know what number you want to hit by the end of this year. But let's face it, that goal necessarily sometimes isn't controllable without our action and our behaviors of what we do every single day. So here's where I want us to focus on and really dig in about my habits, the things that I do every single day that I have control of. I have control of when I wake up. I have control of what my day looks like, right? You're a volunteer army. You can do whatever you want, Chris. If you want to sleep in until noon, have at it. You're not going to get a phone call from me, right? But you've had success in this arena. You just have limited your income potential. So now let's really start to hone in and control the controllables. You can't control if that business owner signs on with you. So what are some things that you can control every single day, Chris?
I control my activity, how many calls I'm going to make. I control what information I'm going to put into the CRM. I can control what time I wake up, what time I go to bed. I can control, whether I take a nap or get a walk in, or whether I'm going to rewatch Squid Games. I think that's, I can control my activity is kind of how I look at it, and whether those habits or that activity is, helping me get that more money, or whether that activity
Sure.
isn't.
Okay. Awesome. I love it. Right. Those are all controllable. So, Chris, what would you say is your, like, what is something that you're like, hey, I am really good at this? Like, people always compliment me or tell me, man, I'm awesome at this task. Or maybe it's cold calling, maybe it's, whatever that might be. What is that one thing that you're kind of say, you know what, Jeff, I got this. I know exactly what to do in this spot.
Yeah, I would say it's outbound prospecting. Even if people don't buy from me, they remember me. We always have a good conversation. My talk time's always been extremely high when I'm meeting with a business owner. And I play the long game instead of the short game. So they may not be ready to make the change or the move now, but I become a partner, a strategist with them typically. So I would say, yeah, outbound talk time,
Okay.
so to speak.
Perfect. And now, what's one thing that you want to improve on, right? If there's one thing in your arsenal, right? Whether it's, obviously, the outbound, the prospecting part, but is it maybe, integration, something on a paperwork software side? Is there, excuse me, is there anything that you're like, man, I wish I knew this or I could be better at this?
Yeah, I would say that when I don't know the whole picture, when I don't know the context, it's difficult for me to get into what I do best. So what I mean is, if I don't understand how something works, or I can't explain it fully, or I don't know, if I can solve the problem that they're having, and I have to kind of do one of those numbers of like, Jeff, you know what? I don't know, but let me get back to you on that. That really is a major downer for me. When I don't know, I get stagnant.
Okay.
So I think it's like processes and like not like product knowledge would be probably the two things. Processes and product knowledge would be my weak places, that once I get my process down and once I get the product knowledge down, I feel very comfortable that like we're going.
Awesome. I mean, and one, I appreciate the vulnerability, right? Because I think a lot of us, if we've had any sort of success, man, I'm good at it all. But to be able to say, look, here's an area I need to improve upon, that is an area, Chris, that I think I can help you on. And here's the thing, I'm not a master at everything in the fintech space, but I rely heavily on my partners and my back office, my engineering team, my operations team. So I think through this relationship here, right, I told you to set the goals aside, but if we focus on the activity and what we can control every day, you'll blow past those marks, those goals that you want to achieve. So I guess for you and me is like, hey, I can agree to you that I'm going to be there for you to help you in those areas. I'm going to let you go do your thing, right? Go prospect and outbound and do all the things that you're great at. But if we maybe connect once a week, or my phone line's open, if you have a question, I want to be that assistant there for you to help you bridge everything together to have the most amount of success that Chris Watson can have.
Perfect. Okay, so let's take a pause on this. Now let's jump. Now let's say I've been on the job for 3 months and I'm not hitting my activity. I'm not really doing much. I'm kind of like, you can kind of see like you haven't really closed anything. All these things that you kind of said that you were good at you're not seeing that. Execution's not matching that
Sure.
initial conversation that we had. So let's take it from there, and let's also say that it's taken 4 times, 4 outreaches from you to even get me on another call like this. So okay, so we're four touches. I finally get on the call with you. Let's start from there now.
Perfect. Hey, Chris, I know it's been a minute. I've been trying to reach out to you, and I'm so happy that we're able to connect today. And I just want to check in with you. How are things going, man? Not even work stuff. Like, how are you doing? What's going on
Yeah,
in the
man.
world?
It's been tough, man. My COVID got so bad, Omicron, the whole thing. I got my kids at home now, and I'm having to help out with virtual learning, so that's been a pain. And obviously, I still want to make the money, and I love your guys' product, and I'm trying really hard, but I just man, like I'm just having a tough time like getting through, and not only that, but like most people are like, oh, we already have something, like we already do something like that, so. I'm just having a tough go of it, honestly. Still committed to you guys. I love you. I love the product. My goals are still in my top drawer. I haven't looked at them again, and just trying to really control the controllables, as you say.
Got it. Okay. I mean, one, I know the whole, COVID things, just the world's kind of been in chaos, right? I think we can both agree with that. And so one, is there something I can do, to help you with that? Right. I know you mentioned, you and the family, there's some struggles there. Is there something there that you can lean on me on? Or is it something that, hey, I got this? You tell me.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. I think
Okay.
unless you got, some way to, give me 28 hours in a day, which I doubt it. Yeah, no, it's just a balancing act, right? I think 3 months ago, 2 months ago, I was really excited about this opportunity, and I still am. I just had some bumps in the road of trying to figure this thing out.
Sure. Well, it's kind of like, if you ever remember, Chris, when riding a bike when you're younger, you're learning how to ride a bike, you fall down, you scrape your knee, right? That scab heals, right? And it's gone. I don't think you hold on to worrying about, falling down again the next day that you're out with your buddies and riding a bicycle, right? So what I would say is have a short-term memory. The last 3 months, let it go. What I would say is there anything that you learned about yourself over the last 3 months that can help, that we can use to be a catalyst of growth for the future, right? It's 3 months in. We got 9 more months. Like, I still am confident you can crush your goals, but it's getting back to the intention of the daily habit. So what do you think would work from a plan for you and I, from an accountability standpoint? We can both be accountable to each other to get you to where you want to go.
Yeah, man. Maybe sending an email once a week, like that might be good.
Okay. Well, we start there, right? I mean, and the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you a book. It's a book I read, Atomic Habits, and it really helped me because I know in my career, my journey, yours sounds very familiar to mine, right? We have moments in life, and look, we're human. We have things that happen in life. An event happens, and it can derail us. What's important is, do we get the focus back and get back on it? And so one of the things in that book is like, just get 1% better every single day. Do an activity, do a behavior, and hold yourself accountable to it every single day. And by doing that, you are going to start to see some things and momentum move forward for yourself.
Cool. All right. So in the last 2.5 minutes for you and I, let's talk about what you liked, what you felt good about, what is something, I use that every time and I really like it, or doing this live was a little bit different with that, or whatever. Let's give you about a minute to do that. And then I'll just throw out some observations, some questions,
Sure.
that I have.
Yeah. Obviously doing it, on this is a little bit different. And I think a lot of it, there's some similarities there, right? Every single person that you speak with, it's not going to be the same. The last thing I want to be is robotic. So is my intention right? Is my strategy okay to help you get to where you need to go, right, in this volunteer army? So, I don't think there's a right or a wrong. I think it comes back to my intention, the strategic, and engaging with you. If I miss out on any of those three, I've done not a great job. And so overall, not bad, right? If the relationship continued, maybe I have more candor with you, like Kim Scott's radical candor, right? But I don't think we're there yet in that relationship. So just quick observations for me.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask this. If I then went another 2-3 months without having success, what would change? What would shift for you?
I don't know if much would shift other than asking the question, is this what you want, right? Obviously, there's a disconnect somewhere. What is it that you want to do? Where do you want to go? Let me help you get there. Because this might not be what you really want, right? You might say and think you want it, but having the honest conversation of something's amiss, something's not aligned, and let's figure it out together. Let me help you get to where you want to go.
Yeah. So not to say that you wouldn't do this, but I think this is good for both the audience and just a refresher is, I think that as our conversation started, it was about, hey, why are you here? Like, why did you decide to come on and do this? And I think weaving out and even digging deeper into the story of their story is extremely powerful, because when I say I want to double my income, I want to make more income, on a logical sense, that is phenomenal. On an emotional sense, as a leader, I want to know why. Like,
Sure.
what's the motivation, right, for wanting more money? Because then I can tie activity, I can tie accountability, I can tie engagement to the why piece of why they want more money. So college fund or Disney
100%.
trip or second house or generational wealth or whatever it is, the overall big picture. I also think that once I tie that to that, we have the ability that when I don't hit my numbers, we can then check in to say, hey, is this still the motivation? I just want
Yeah.
to make sure this is still the motivation. And so that you're almost like, we're aiming, no one get upset with the gun reference, but you're aiming your gun, but you're making sure it's at the right target. It's
Right.
like, all right,
Yeah.
is this still the thing? Because I want to make sure I'm engaging with you in a way that helps you accomplish, your goals and your dreams, right? Everything you want. But more importantly, I want to make sure, and this is what I loved, I appreciate your genuineness. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that you were present, you were genuine, and there was consistency in the way that you communicated with me. And I think that's a major takeaway, that you almost have to have the framework of a leader, that when you're communicating with someone and you're telling them, you're intentionally, and strategically engaging them, there's got to be consistency. It's like, well, I know every time I talk to Jeff, he's going to ask me about my life. I know every time I'm going to talk to Jeff that he is going, he's going to be honest with me. He's going to be very specific with me. Like whatever those are. And I'm not telling you there's a right, wrong. I'm just saying as a leader, have consistency. I mean, how often do you and I watch a football game and the referees aren't consistent? And it is so irritating when all the fouls or all the penalties or whatever were calls on one team. You're like, it's not consistent, or they're not calling pass interference. Consistency, I believe, is key when it comes to engagement. And I think telling that story over and over, the reverts back to their story. I only wrote 3 or 4 things down. One, when you talk about failure, didn't reach their goals in the first 3 months, and you talk about short-term memory and the goldfish, I think I said goldfish, but anyway, short-term memory, I would say, and I'd like to get your take on this, that leaders should be working to tie back success and failure both to what the future goal is for them, what the future outcome is for them. So whether it's money or second house or more time or whatever, I almost feel like every failure and every success has to be tied back to the outcome they want. So that when they get off, they're not thinking, oh, I'm doing this because Jeff told me I needed to, or I'm thinking, man, I do want that generational wealth. Man, I do want that second house. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I think you're spot on, right? I mean, having those conversations and really, I do believe you need to tie it back to what you said, right? And even in those first 3 months, someone might feel like they have failed, but they're like, celebrate those small wins, right? We didn't get into the nitty gritty and say, okay, 3 or 4 deals, it wasn't much, but like, hey, remember, what happened there? Let's talk about this one. What went well? Okay, how do we continue to, the word's escaping me, but tie back, I guess that's not the word.
Align, maybe.
Yeah, the why, or tie back or reference back that win.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's all it takes. Like, man, that felt good, right? What happened there? Why did you get the win? And now all of a sudden it reinforces the behavior, I think, sometimes, and those habits.
How do you, as a leader, and this is, I got 2 more questions and we'll wrap this thing up, is how do you, as a leader, differentiate between I am communicating this to them to help me reach my goals and the KPIs I have and the things that are coming from the top down? How do you manage, I actually care, and that's why I'm speaking a story into their life and wanting them to see we care, and I do care because I want to reach my goals. How do we make sure our people understand that, yes, this is about performance, but this is also about you?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? So for me, it's, as a leader, to hit my goals. If I don't hit my goals, I look at it as a failure on me, because either A, I haven't identified the right talent to help me get there. Because remember, it's a volunteer army, right? And so if I know that I've got, a squad that's just not going to get it done, right? I'm not going to play He-Man, Superman, whatever you want to call it, to hit a number. Like, that's not sustainable, right? I think succession planning, 2023, 2024, I'm not just thinking about the moment right now. So one, it's identifying the players that I have on the team, right? And truly speaking into them for their own success. Because I feel like if I lead them in a way that's going to help them achieve their success, my KPI numbers are going to take care of themselves. So I'm focusing more on the people than I am my number. Because when I focus on that number, all of a sudden the people become like, that's the screens of that new iPhone commercial where it's blurry in the background and the focus is here. I know for me, if I focus on the team, the people, those numbers will take care of itself. And if they aren't, then shame on me because I haven't identified the talent in order to achieve the result.
Yeah. How important is it to recognize as quickly as possible this story isn't resonating, our company story isn't resonating, this narrative isn't resonating with this person, they don't actually want to double their income, they don't act, maybe the story they're telling themselves they're deceiving themselves to actually what they want.
Yeah. And I think it takes, leadership to recognize the company story. Like, are we truly living and breathing what our mantra is? Because people will identify holes and gaps really, really fast. If it's a bunch of talk, but not walking the walk, like that's not sustainable. So it's taking people to have really honest conversations like, hey, we've got to get this thing teed up and set in order for others to succeed. And if we're trying to get people to succeed while still trying to plug holes in the boat, rough seas ahead.
Yeah. For everyone listening, I still think that Jeff has illustrated that the framework works, that it is about their story, our people's story. What do they want? What's the future story that they believe they can go and accomplish, and the outcomes, which could potentially shift and move and manage. But if I know them well enough, I get to be a guide in that journey. So what is their story? What is our story? Meaning, what is the company's story, but as well as what's Jeff's story that as a leader I'm communicating. I think throughout there was opportunities that I know Jeff would have taken to say, look, I've been there. I've been exactly where you are. And I struggle with this moment. Or, yeah, I remember when I wanted to double my income, and having some empathy to share, like, I've been in that moment. I've had that story in my head. And then lastly, every time, let me show you that I'm as committed to your future story as you are committed to our organization's future story, so that we have a future story together. Is that all fair?
It's fair. Alignment, right? When things are misaligned, it's pretty tough to make it, go in a straight line, right? When your alignment's off, whether it's company, whether it's leadership, the volunteer army. But man, when those things become aligned, watch out.
Yeah, I think the title of the story you're telling really is about the volunteer army, because I think what that word does is we're an army, which means we're together, but I recognize you really are a volunteer. So it's on me to have you buy in. When I think about Braveheart or Robin Hood or any of those movies where those people were volunteers, but they were fighting for something, that's really what we're saying when we're talking about these people that aren't truly employees, but I need them to get on the right bus. I need them to get on the right ship. I need them to want to fight beside us. Man, I thank you so much for hopping on, being a part of your first LinkedIn Live, and sharing the story. Tell people where they can connect with you and how they can tune into the podcast. And man, we'll sign off.
Yeah, for sure. And real quick, before I do that, you got to remind me to tell you a story from when I was in the Sheriff's Academy, because when you just did the Braveheart, all the different movies, I got a story that will blow your mind.
All right, I can't wait.
So obviously, Jeff Underwood, I'm on LinkedIn. You could definitely find me there. I don't know how many Jeff Underwoods are out there, but I am in California and EPSG. So if you see those things, you see a bald, shiny head, you got the right guy. And as far as Engagement Matters, bridging the leadership gap, we're on almost every podcast platform out there, right? Whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple, all the main things out there, but it's Engagement Matters, bridging the leadership gap, with myself and Cord Stockwell. So hit me up on either one of those. LinkedIn's pretty much the only social media I use. So because I love the real honesty, the connections like you and I, Chris, we met there. So anyhow, I really appreciate you having me on today, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah, man, absolutely. For anyone else that wants to tune in, or maybe you want to come on Tuesdays, Thursdays as always, tell me a story. Tell me a great story. Jeff told us a story today about engaging his internal people. Bro, thank you so much for everyone that tuned in, for everyone that watches this. Thank you so much. If you are in a place where you are trying to improve your overall messaging and you need some help in strategic storytelling, hit me up, LinkedIn, tune into the show, ask questions. Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon.